Hi everyone, it's John Heath here for MiltonRose Learning with another Let's Learn video on Macbeth quotations. So what we've got today then is we've sliced and diced three of the best themes for your essays and for your exams, and we're going to break down three of the best quotes for each theme. Okay, so yeah, without further ado, let's dive in. Okay, so first off then, we've got ambition and power, which really goes to the heart of the thematic heart of Macbeth. So what we're going to do first is let's zoom in on this first quote from the big man himself, Macbeth. And he says about ambition, vaulting ambition, which overleaps itself and falls on the other. That's from Act 1, Scene 7, Macbeth. And what he's actually trying to say there, if we kind of break this down as best we can, it's Macbeth recognising that ambition alone may lead to his downfall. Okay, ambition is the tragic flaw that kind of that breaks everything apart, the hamartia, if we're being very formal about it. And if we look at the language just very briefly, look at the kind of the lexical choices such as vaulting ambition, like a pole vault, almost kind of go lifting him up over kind of any objections and things like that, but it's going to lead to him falling very, very hard. Very kind of important. And obviously the word falls on the other, like falling over, tripping over, like a mistake. And if we're going to look at the connotations of it as well, the fall, from a Christian reading, the fall could represent the fall of man, which is when Adam and Eve got kicked out of the Garden of Eden. So it seems to suggest, if we're looking into it quite a bit, it seems to suggest that by potentially murdering King Duncan, it's as bad as the fall of humanity itself. And the Christian Jacobean audience would have really picked up on that interpretation. So that's definitely one for your high grades. Okay. So let's look at another ambition and power quote, again from Macbeth. He crops up quite a lot here. Okay, so he says, I have no spur to prick the sides of my intent, but only vaulting ambition. Okay, again, Act 1, Scene 7. Now, what we're saying in the first part of that quote, because obviously that's very important, I have no spur to prick the sides of my intent, it's a little bit ambiguous, but he seems to be suggesting that he lacks any just cause for this murder. There's no real reason for killing King Duncan, because, yeah, he's a little bit soft, but he's not horrible. He's not a tyrant. He actually rules Scotland reasonably well. And so it's only ambition which is driving Macbeth, okay? And you can see a pattern emerging, can't you, across the two quotes so far. Macbeth has this hamartia, this tragic flaw of ambition. And it's the only thing driving him alongside his wife, obviously, and the three witches. So he's basically saying, I don't really have a reason to commit this murder at that point in the play, okay? And that's until his wife gets to work on him and manipulates him, of course, okay? Then the last quote for power and ambition, which stems from the character Macbeth again. A great quote, very poetic. Stars, hide your fires. Let not light see my black and deep desires. Okay, that's Act 1, Scene 4, I believe. So he says there, he's basically saying he wants to conceal his ambition and his intentions to commit evil. Okay, he's basically saying, the light represents in this kind of context goodness and religion, but he doesn't want that to highlight his black and deep desires, okay, his ambition to kill the king. So he's trying to, I wouldn't write this in your essay, but he's trying to like fly under the radar and not let anybody see his deepest desires to kill the king. Okay, and it shows the awakening of his surreptitious, subversive nature. He's getting very, 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 very secretive at this point in the play. Okay, so those are three really good ambition and power quotes. Now let's look at guilt and conscience, and I think that goes to the thematic heart of the play as well. So we've got three really good ones here. Now, Macbeth, so he starts to feel guilt straight away, and in Act 2, Scene 2, he says his fantastic quote, Will all great Neptune's ocean wash this blood clean from my hand? A beautiful rhetorical question in Act 2, Scene 2, and that's just after he's committed regicide. He's killed the king, basically. Neptune, as we know, is the god of the ocean. And basically he's saying, not even the god of the ocean can wash all this blood off my hand. Okay, and we still use that phrase today. If you have blood on your hands, it means you've done something awful, normally violent, and you've got to pay for it. So he feels that his guilt is so deep that it can never be cleansed. Now, not on a literal sense, but obviously it's on a metaphorical sense. You can never get the guilt washed clean out of your soul, basically. And this was a deeply Christian era, so this was a real problem. You're going to hell for this. And the Jacobeans would believe that you will burn in hell for all eternity. They really, really believed it. So that would have terrified the Jacobean audience, and you could definitely weave that in terms of context for the high grades. Okay. Right, next one we have another great quote. I mean, Macbeth is chock full of brilliant quotes. And Macbeth says, "Oh, full of scorpions is my mind, dear wife." And that's in Act 3, Scene 2, I believe. It basically shows, doesn't it, Macbeth is tormented by paranoia and guilt. Even after the murder, it doesn't leave him. He just degenerates even further after the regicide. And look at the use of animal symbolism. It's a motif throughout the play. Animal symbolism is used all the time. And this is a really good example of that in your essays. So, scorpions. A scorpion is, you can get big scorpions, but they're stereotypically quite small, but venomous and dangerous. They can kill you. And it almost symbolises Macbeth's status, almost as like this scorpion-like figure that was just hiding and then stung King Duncan and killed him. It kind of symbolises his kind of true nature very, very well. Notice they didn't put symbolism like a lion, because that would have completely different connotations. They went for a scorpion. Scorpions are in my mind. And it just means that he can't get any rest now. He's just tormented permanently because of his guilt. Okay, last one for this theme is, you can hopefully see a lovely image there of Lady Macbeth. And she has a great quote about this theme. And she says, "Here's the smell of the blood still. All the perfumes of Arabia will not sweeten this little hand." Act 5, Scene 1, so we're going very much at the back end of the play there. And it's basically suggesting there, or maybe not even suggesting, her guilt is consuming her. Okay, it's eating away at her. And it's a reversal or a juxtaposition of her earlier strength. If you remember, she was very strong at the start of the play, very masculine almost. And look how she's fallen. She's very weak by the end of the play. And she doesn't feel like she can almost carry on anymore. The language feature that's been used in that quote for me is hyperbole, exaggeration. So all the perfumes of Arabia, that's quite a lot, will not sweeten this little hand. So that's definitely exaggeration, and it's showing the deterioration of her mental state and her psychosis towards the end of the play. So that's definitely something you could almost do a psychological reading of that if you're writing that up into a P paragraph in one of your essays. Okay, right, then on to the last theme we've got is the supernatural and fate. Okay, so let's see what quotes we've selected for this. So supernatural and fate, and they're never far away, are they? We've got the three witches here, and a classic quote on the supernatural from Act 1, Scene 1. "Fair is foul and foul is fair." What a great quote. Now, it's a paradox that sets the tone for the play's moral confusion and supernatural themes. Let's just break that down for 10 seconds. Fair means to be good, and foul means to be bad. So let's just look at what they're saying. Fair is foul, so good is bad, and foul is fair, so bad is good. So it shows that in their mind and in this play, it's good to do evil, okay? But it's really bad if you're a good character, such as King Duncan, because he ends up dead. So the whole moral terrain of this play is turned upside down, topsy-turvy. White is black and black is white, good is bad and bad is good, and nothing makes any sense. And the ethics of this play are all over the place. And the Jacobean Christian audience would have picked up on that. They were very scared of witches, obviously, in this period. They were seen as agents of the devil, and they would have been appalled when they said that quote. Okay, very, very good quote to learn, and very simple to learn as well. Okay, second one for this theme is Macbeth again. Again, wonderful quote. Is this a dagger which I see before me, the handle towards my hand? That's in Act 2, Scene 1. And this is where Macbeth is literally hallucinating. He's starting to see things in front of his eyes before he commits the murder. And it's the hallucinations possibly created by fate or supernatural forces, we're not actually sure, but it symbolises his descent into madness and megalomania. Okay, the dagger is a secret blade which throughout history assassins have kind of held, in their coat or their cloak, and then they sneak up behind you and then stab you in the back. It's a symbol of betrayal and death and assassination. So when he sees a dagger before his eyes, obviously not a literal one, but a hallucination, it's foreshadowing. It's foreshadowing the murder of King Duncan. Okay, and it symbolises that Macbeth is a very secret and dastardly character to try and kill him with a dagger. Okay, so yeah, very, very good quote again. And the last one for this theme is Back to the Three Witches, because the theme is obviously supernatural. They say to Macbeth, don't they, in the back end of the play, none of woman born shall harm Macbeth. That's in Act 4, Scene 1. So what are they saying to him? Well, it's like a cryptic prophecy. A prophecy is like a prediction. And it's giving Macbeth false confidence. They're saying, oh yeah, nobody born of a woman can hurt you, Macbeth. And he thinks to himself, well, everybody's born from a woman, so that means I'm invincible. But they're just messing with him. These are evil kind of characters. So the cryptic prophecy, it gives Macbeth a false confidence. Because he thinks, well, everybody's born from a woman. That means nobody can kill me, so I must be invincible. Okay, but obviously these are witches, and they're just messing around with him, and it just shows that they're lulling him. I would write this in an essay. They're lulling him into a false sense of security. So he actually feels like he's invincible. But all that's going to fall apart when he bumps into Macduff, because as we know, Macduff was kind of born from a woman, but not the usual way. He was born caesarean. So he was actually, his mother's belly was cut open and then he was pulled out. So that means that their prophecy is not kind of right. And they were just messing around with Macbeth all along. Okay, so it really shows the hideous nature of the supernatural in this play. Okay then, and let's just zoom out for a final time. Obviously, it just remains to say thanks for watching. Hopefully you found this really, really useful when you're revising for your Macbeth kind of assignments and the all-important exams. Don't forget to hit the like, subscribe and tap the bell icon. That would really help us to grow, and share with all your friends. And you'll never miss another Let's Learn video again if you tap that bell icon. And it just remains to say, obviously, thank you for listening and take care.